Ladies and gentlemen, I'm your host, Double Tap, and this is Aussie Game Rants. This week, we're playing with balls. Of course, as always, I'm joined by my partners in crime. Shonty23, say hi.
Hey, how's it going?
Jimmy D, give them a shout out for us. Oh! This week we're reviewing Rocket League. Now this is a podcast review. Rocket League is a little game that came out on the PSN a little while ago. Now all three of us downloaded it in our PSN monthly downloads.
We were the lucky ones.
We were indeed the lucky ones. It's a free game for us. So, of course, we dropped the money on the DLC, which we'll talk about later. So, do you remember who this was developed by? Psyonix, correct?
Yeah, Psyonix. They did another one which was
It had a ridiculous...
something like, it was a huge name, like rocket-powered acrobatic cars or something like that. Obviously, they've gone with a much catchier title.
A little bit easier to say.
Because if anyone who wasn't into the indie, I hate using indie because there's no such thing as that anymore.
That's air quotes, ladies and gentlemen, there from Jimmy D.
The indie environment, it had a much larger name, wasn't known by a wider audience. This one came out completely unknown to the casual gamers and the regular run-of-the-mill people with a much catchier name. That's why you see most games with only like one name kind of titles.
It helps with marketing, of course.
It's definitely a marketing ploy.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, I mean, it worked. Let's be honest here. It worked.
Certainly
yeah.
did, yep.
Right. So, I mean, we've all played it. We got it. I think I got it day one. What about you, Shogsy?
Yeah, I think I got
pretty
it
much
then as well, yeah.
Day one. And
I think we all got it day one. I think I
Yeah.
downloaded it and gone, this will be kind of cool. Downloaded it, played it. I was like, yeah, this is kind of cool. And then we figured out the glory that was multiplayer.
The glory, that is indeed multiplayer. Now, obviously, we'll do a points-based review later in the system. We'll just talk about it for a while. Multiplayer has been sensational for us. How often do we play it as a group?
Oh, at least
Look,
once or twice a week as a minimum.
Look, it's basically one of those games that once we get bored of, say, said game that we play,
Yep,
we'll go back
Diablo or
Diablo or any
Elder
other
Scrolls
game.
Online.
Elder Scrolls.
Whatever, yep.
We go, yep, alright, had enough of this shit, go on to this one. We always tend to go back to Rocket League. It's fast, fun, quick gameplay.
Yep, absolutely.
And the games don't take long. You can get through, like, even a long game might only go for 10 minutes.
We've had some real long games where it's been a really tight game, 1-on-1 goals wise, and then we get to OT or our overtime, and that's gone for 10 minutes straight, no score. That is the height of sports and intensity. Now this game,
To quote Eminem, knees weak, palms are sweaty.
pretty much, I was playing a game the other night, and my controller was, I was playing with you, Jimmy D, my controller was drenched from sweat, the stress, it was undulating, it was fantastic.
It was worse than a fat kid on a treadmill.
Hey, I'm the fat kid, shush. Anyway,
I don't see the treadmill.
so this game has been referred to by quite a few big news sites as the best way to play soccer. FIFA kicks it down the street. What do you guys think about that?
It's hard to call it soccer. It's got the general basis of soccer, but you're using cars. I mean, you're not really passing with pinpoint accuracy. You're not shooting with pinpoint accuracy. It's one of those ones where you do cool shit and you're like, oh my god, this is amazing!
Just have a lob down the field and it's like, oh my god, it's going in!
I'm sure there's going to be some pro players out there that are going to come up and
We're all
say...
pro players.
Well, alright, we're rated pro. There's going to be some really good players that...
Semi-pro right here.
I'm sorry.
Best semi-pro, by the way.
We're going to have some really good players come out and say that there is skill involved. Now, of course, we've all seen some of the amazing gameplay. I have seen legitimate passing. In fact, I have legitimately passed. You have legitimately passed there, Shogsy.
Yeah,
and you've legitimately passed Jimmy D.
Obviously, there is some level of skill.
But I mean, ultimately...
Yeah, it's its own game. It can't be considered... Well, it can be and it can't be. It's a hard one to define as a game. It's definitely a sports game. That's the best thing that I can give it.
Yeah.
But it's a great mesh between, say, a technical sports game like soccer and car racing. You know, both
Yep.
You get
require some field
best
of
of
skill.
both worlds, essentially.
Basically, just, best way I can explain it, it's a sports game.
Alright, preferred way to play now, obviously. I don't know if anyone out there can count, but there are three of us. So, our preferred method generally has been 3v3, or what is called standard. So if anyone out there hasn't played Rocket League, they've got a few different modes. They've got 1v1, right? Obviously, one car versus another car, off you go, have a battle. You've got 2v2, once again, very obvious, 2 cars versus 2 cars. Then you've got what they call standard. That's 3v3, that's what we have. We've also done quite a lot of chaos, which is 4v4. Now, what do you guys prefer and why?
Well, Chaos has definitely earned its name, that's for damn sure.
Why is that, though?
It's always a bit of a shitstorm with the cars everywhere. You'll be driving along and all of a sudden, I've just been run into by 3 cars at once.
I find, though...
It's definitely a big ball of fuck.
It is, but I find, though, if you're playing Chaos and you've got a right team structure set up... Now, obviously we're getting a little bit too technical here for such a casual, fun game. If you have the right structure set up, I find it's alright. Now, what have we used in the past? Generally, Shogsy?
I'm generally the goalkeeper.
We have...
What you could call a goalkeeper.
Shut
anyway.
up.
I'm sure we'll put some footage in there of Shogsy's amazing goalkeeping work. And then what we usually have is 2 midfielders, usually myself and Jimmy D.
Yeah.
And then we have a 4th player who we may introduce down the road. He is generally what we would call a striker. Pain in the ass, striker. If you have the rotating goalie, it's generally not a bad system. But I think I've actually recently got into 2v2s. I find that the field is way too open.
Oh, yeah. It's a lot.
Oh yeah, if you're sitting there and you've got like a goalie and then it's basically 1-on-1 with 2 goalies. And if you don't do that, you're pretty well screwed because if it gets to the other end and you are on the other end,
Game over.
There's a goal.
I was going to say the opposite. I've almost never played with a goalie when I'm playing 2v2.
I've had both experiences. I think if you are going offensively, get rid of that goalie, get him up to the midfield, but make sure you are both, every time you see that ball coming down to your end, you're flying back, getting your boost along the edge of the field, double jumping back and getting into that goal square ready to defend.
And you always got to keep in mind to reverse.
Well, the reverse is a technique that's
debatable.
It's questionable. What do we think about flying?
I haven't been able to master it or even anything close to mastering it.
I believe they call that get good.
Get good.
No,
get good.
In all seriousness, it's bloody difficult to try and fly. You've got to know your angles. You've got to know when to jump, when not to jump. You got to know how much boost you've got left, which I seem to lack. I tend to jump, try to fly. I've got nothing.
No boost. Yeah.
I got 12 left. Woo.
And then
there goes a little circle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then basically, if you can execute it properly, it's great.
That's the thing.
I've versed a few people. Me and you played ranked last night whilst you were away.
That was sensational, wasn't it?
And we were on a roll that way. But the point being is we had one team that flew amazingly.
Constantly. Yep.
And hit the ball target every time.
And that's what really...
Quite properly and it went where it was going.
Absolutely in the goals. And that is what really defines the elite players from the average casual gamers. Obviously, we've played a lot of Rocket League. We've loved every minute of it. And very early on, when there were a lot of casual gamers coming in, I hate using that word, but I will.
Everyone was fresh to the game.
Everyone was
didn't
fresh.
Really know how to...
And we grasped flying very early on, but to a limited extent. And then, obviously, as the gamer base exploded, and then more technical players came out, we slowly fell behind because we're playing multiple games at one time here. But that is really what divides.
As we do. I mean, my attention span is like that of a goldfish. So
I know
need to
you've
have
been
a
in and out of this room 6 times already. It's fantastic.
I need to pee a lot.
And
Indeed.
what I saw earlier on, someone said it's easy to get good at, but difficult to master.
I would definitely agree with that. That's a lot of competitive gaming. So obviously, this one's going to enter that competitive sphere.
It's already been announced to be hitting esports eventually.
Fantastic. It's the one kind of game
It's definitely got the basis and the core structure for an esport. Anyone who is new to this kind of thing in esport is basically an electronic sport. The professional basis for a gamer.
Let's hope Apple doesn't get in on that field. They could call it iSports, and that would not be a good day for the gaming industry, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, imagine mobile gaming on that stuff.
Oof. Jesus, Angry Birds competitive version. Let's not go down that road.
I really don't
Temple Run competitive on the iPhone.
Jesus.
Oof, I don't know. I mean, I'm sure people get competitive about that, setting high scores and whatnot, but hey, it's not what this is about. So, what about the pricing? Obviously, everyone in this room got it for free.
Yep.
Now, that has been the bargain of the year for me. Of course, I dropped the, what was it, $6?
$4. No, yeah,
$6 on the DLC. $6
Yep.
for DLC. Probably in the US, that's about $2-3, which is, I wish, but the Aussie dollar is not holding very well.
Welcome to Australian
Pretty much.
tax increase.
We'll be talking about that in a few weeks' time about how we are. We will be going on a rant about how we are ripped off on pricing and structure in Australia. But the $6 was a bargain of the year. But what did that DLC add?
So we got 2 cars, 2 new sets of wheels.
2 cars, Dominus and Takumi.
Yep.
Yeah, that's the ones.
Right.
And a couple new extra wheels. There was one that was the spinners. Can't remember what the other one was.
That one looked
different-
like a soccer ball.
Yeah, the ones that looked like a soccer ball. Got a couple of new paint finishes, which was really nice. You had the wood effect, the
the wood
corroded
effect.
metal,
Carbon fibre.
carbon fiber, the metallic pearlescent one.
Yep.
Which came out beautifully. And
Utopia Coliseum.
and Utopia Coliseum. Yes.
I love me some new pictures.
And it also came out with a few new achievements. One for the DLC and one for the standard update.
So-
So you had a bit more
you
to
might
target.
want to add that Utopia was actually free. Didn't
That
actually
is-
come with
that
the
is
DLC.
true.
All the DLC was basically
Just the car stuff.
yeah.
That is true.
I can't think of the word now because
That's
it escapes me.
a
but
free.
it's-
So there was a free DLC, which was the Utopia Coliseum pack. There was a paid one, which is your cars and your accessories. What do you think that it added substantially to the game? Obviously, I played a lot of Utopia Coliseum when it came out. I love a new stadium, a new pitch for any kind of game, but I was hopelessly, horrendously against that pitch. I hated it.
Yeah?
I despised it.
Why'd you hate it?
I didn't like the walls. I didn't like the design. I didn't like the sounds. I didn't like the placement of the boosts. I didn't like the atmosphere. I basically did not like that. That was probably the worst DLC that I could have for a pitch.
I really liked it.
Why is that?
Oh, it just had a good feel to it. It made me think back of some old PS2 games we used to play. It just had that classic game feel to it as well.
It's probably why I didn't like it, because it's a modern game with a classic feel. I mean, come on. We're on this game because of its popularity and finesse. Those other pitches were designed impeccably, and then they go and release this second-rate one.
it just seemed that Utopia was kind of rushed.
It was very rushed.
Um,
But I must note, we've just had patch update 1.05, ladies and gentlemen, and that has gone a long way to fixing Utopia Coliseum. So, in this most recent update, we've got Ranked Season 1, which has officially begun. We've all jumped on that, got a little points higher. Now, with that, obviously, you get some added bonuses. You get some fancy new prizes if you reach certain
by
levels.
little points, we mean little points.
Little points. We went up a whole heap last night and then down a whole heap last night when we reached above our skill level. We won't tell you which ranks we are yet. You'll see us online. It's also added ranked solo standards. So what that means is basically you can jump in a 3v3 match alone. So for all you ladies and gentlemen out there in remote areas, or those without friends, Shogsy, you can jump into a match alone. It's added a whole heap of stuff. But Utopia Coliseum, as I was saying, it's added the daylight, which has been changed to earlier in the day. It's added overall lighting effects and ambience, which I think, I drove on it earlier today, was fantastic.
Yep.
The boundaries are more defined, which I love, because before, for some irrational idea, I was afraid to drive on the walls. And the arches. Now, in the official patch notes, they've stated that they added new arches around the outside of the playing field because it looks cooler. And I will say this, Psyonix, it looks fucking cooler.
Oh yeah, so much better. It looks such a fresh update to it. That's how it should have finished.
I agree.
That's how they should have finished it to start with.
Well, the good thing is it was free DLC.
Well, that is true.
So,
I won't go on to a rant, but like you need to finish your DLCs before you release them.
Oh yeah.
this is Aussie
Otherwise,
Game Rants.
it's
Jimmy
patch. Another big example would have to be your day one patches. There's nothing worse than getting a game, going, awesome, I'm going to play this, oh wait, you got to download something.
Alright, this is a separate topic, and we will do a podcast on it, but because we are Aussie Game Rants, we're going on a small rant here, ladies and gentlemen. Batman Arkham Knight Origins, Batman Arkham Knight, the most recent one.
Arkham Knight.
I bought this game at midnight with both of you there. I wanted to play this game. Now, obviously, in Australia, we do have some limitations to internet. I get the game home, I find out there's a day one patch. All I want to do at midnight is play this game. I cannot play this game because of this day one patch. That is a disgraceful thing. Now, obviously, that is off topic because we are talking about Rocket League. Don't think that had a day one patch.
No, I didn't have a patch for a while.
I don't think it actually had a day one patch.
It came out with the Utopia Coliseum patch. That was
Utopia
2.5 gig.
It was 2.5 gig and it was unfinished.
Unfinished content.
Unfinished to an extent, but it felt and looked like a beta.
Yep.
Been rushed a little bit.
Look, it was... keeping in mind, it was a free game.
Yeah.
Fair enough, they can do that.
Don't get me wrong, the arena was definitely playable, but if you've got a game that's gained so much popularity, take a bit more time with your patches, take a bit more time with your stuff. Their Supersonic Fury DLC, the one that was paid, definitely had a much higher finish to it than what the
Of course.
Utopia Coliseum. Maybe what they should have done is release Supersonic Fury, then worked on Utopia Coliseum, and maybe release Utopia Coliseum now.
Yep, I would totally agree with that. Let's try and wind this down a little bit. Graphics and music, go, Shogsy.
Oh, I love the music. Not my normal type of music, but very catchy and
It suits the game. It suits the game to a T.
Fits it really, and it makes it feel better.
I actually, before they introduced the music player in patch 1.05, I shazammed some of their songs, and I fully intend to purchase them. They are horribly catchy, and God, they add the atmosphere. Graphics, Shogsy and Jimmy, what do we think? Graphically?
Some of the pictures are absolutely stunning to look at.
Could you call it a next-gen game? It is on next-gen consoles. Could we call it a true next-gen game?
Yes.
Yeah,
It's on that border. It feels like an early next gen game.
Yep, I'd say that's.
so much
I mean, we are still
brand new
early, and it is also one of. It was
For
a free game.
$30 and the limits of what this company's done, it's amazing what they've done with it.
Because that's the thing, ladies and gentlemen. We got it for free, but how much is it now? $30.
It's $30.
$30.
It's not an expensive game.
It's not expensive, but I don't think I would have paid that much for it. Had I known I would have this much fun, sure, that would have been a great consideration, but I don't think I would pay $30 for what's there now. Give me more cars. Give me more pictures. Let this world, this fantastic universe that Psyonix has developed, expand.
Yep.
Let's
definitely.
do that.
And I'd love to see more detailed stats about each of the cars, like their acceleration, their speed, their weight,
They're all basically the same. The only different thing is that their speed, their weight, they're all the exact same. It only feels different because of the shape. Basically, the shape. The hitbox on the car is different, and that's really
the only
difference with it. So
which I understand for balancing purposes.
The van has a higher hitbox. It's taller.
Yeah.
Which is sometimes an advantage and also sometimes a disadvantage.
You've got stuff like the Ferrari-looking one, can't remember the name, or the Dominus.
Dominus, yeah, great example.
Lower to the ground, they've got a bit of a nose that hits down, so it does lob the ball a bit more than, say, the van does.
Yep. There are some subtle changes. I think most of the people out there would have picked up on those by now.
Yep.
So, top features here, ladies and gentlemen, I would imagine is, for me, gameplay, but also cross-compatibility between PlayStation 4 and the PC gamers. Out there, guys, if you are on PC, you can verse us on PS4. If you're on PS4, you can verse people on PC. It's fantastic. In the recent patch update, obviously, you can, if you're on PC, cancel out the PS4 people, which is great for some super competitive people.
To my knowledge, it's only this second game that's done that. Before that was Valve's Portal 2.
Yep.
Other than that, I don't think cross-platform has actually been used
very
often.
There was Blizzard doing it with Diablo to a certain extent with their Battle.net system. To a certain extent. I'm not sure of the finer details because I never connected through it. But there was that. I think, cross-compatibility between platforms. We're at this time, in this day and age, where that needs to be a thing. And Psyonix, first highly mainstream game to do that. Big props, major props from all.
Very fine line between PC, console thing.
Yep.
I'll probably go into that later on.
Yep.
With why certain games can do it, certain games can't.
We'll talk about some technicalities later on. Yeah. Alright, so let's conclude here, ladies and gentlemen. A rating out of 5 Aussie game rank controls. You'll see these on your screen now. Shoxy 23 out of 5.
5.
Jimmy D out of 5.
I give it a 4 purely because it is a small game. I would give it so much more with more content.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, obviously down the track, I play it again. It's going to be much bigger.
I'm giving it a 3. Now,
Why a 3?
that is shockingly low, but I am quite tough with almost everything I review. For me, 3, it's fantastic. That gets us a star, right? It's fun. That gets it a star.
Good basis to work from.
Good basis. It's got great graphics and music. That gets it a star. But what I want to see is this universe expand. Release a few more free DLC packs. Look at what The Witcher 3 did recently. Release some aesthetic changes. Give me more cars. Give me some Australian cars. That'd be great. Let's get the Fords and Holdens out in there. Let's do something like that. And then I will see about a 4 or 5 controller rating.
Well, hopefully they get licensing for cars. With it becoming so mainstream, their next one possibly could have licensed cars.
I would hope so. So let's summarise here. Shogsy was a 5 controller. Jimmy D was a 4 controller. And I, in descending order, was a 3 controller. To be dated, ladies and gentlemen, we will be playing on the PSN Network Rocket League 3v3. If you wish to find us, find all the details on our Facebook and Twitter and join us for that night. We'll be online for 1 hour and we look forward to thoroughly getting kicked in the butts. Thank you for listening to us at Aussie Game Rants and join us next week for a very serious discussion on R18 ratings and classifications in Australia. If you're out there and you like this content, make sure you give it a like. Find us on Facebook at Aussie Game Rants. Find us on Twitter at Aussie Game Rants. Email us at Aussie Game Rants. Everything Aussie Game Rants. We're out.